what we've been speaking. We've been speaking about quantum leaps. We've been talking about how to take these quantum leaps. And yesterday, Prof walked us through what he calls the mental mechanics of a quantum leap. Like, how exactly does one begin the process of harnessing this quantum leap? Like, what are the strategies? What are the ways in which this can happen? So he did a very powerful presentation, and it was focused around the concept of vision. He also spoke, and I think the biggest takeaway word yesterday was divine serendipity. I really like that word, because the concept and idea behind divine serendipity was very simple. He was stating that when you have a purpose-driven vision, you know, there are visions which are just visions and they've got nothing to do with what I'm going to term your purpose and your calling. And then there are those which are birthed from the spirit, which are really your purpose and calling. It's the reason, it's the cause for which you were born. It is what Jesus told, what's his name? Pilate. Jesus told Pilate and said to him, it is for this very hour that I was born and the Son of Man was put on this earth. So there are these events which are so monumental that they come with every seed necessary for their completion. So in this particular case, when you've got that kind of vision, then what happens is all manner of things begin to come into place and fall in place. And that includes even the resources necessary for your success. And that's what now he was speaking about. He touched on what he called what did he call it? He called it the aspect of being designed to emerge, the art of choice, how choice determines where you then go from that stage onwards. He really then went on to share about what he calls the actions, the 7 keys around action, like what exactly happens: information, knowledge, understanding, wisdom, skill, ability to create choices, and your decision. Let's see, as the prof come on. Okay, not yet. So these are the 7 items that he spoke about yesterday. Very, very profound. And I think anybody that attended yesterday's meeting can testify. He finished off by speaking about vision and the critical pillars for success. Vision being on the top, sitting on 3 very specific pillars: the means, the value system, and the strategy. And the leap is the function of the strategy. When you manage to get the means and the value right, and then the strategy correct, everything else explodes. Now, let me just confirm, as Prof come on? Not yet, but he's supposed to be on any second now. And so, meantime, what I'm also going to do, absolutely. So what we're gonna do now, as we wait for Prof, let me just take this little brief moment to get Dr. Nelly on the call whilst I get hold of Prof, just in case he's still winding up his meeting for 10 minutes. I know how Prof is. Doc, please take over as I just quickly get in touch with Prof to make sure he's on. But I know he should be on any second now.
Good morning, everybody. It's really a lovely day. It's really a lovely morning, expecting Prof to come on the call. I've done my part to invite a number of people, because most of the times when information comes, you have no idea what that information does to you, because just like when you're taking some fruits and you are getting some vitamin C, from those fruits, you may not actually know how much you are taking. And so the information for this morning and other mornings when we gather, you have no idea how your intellectual muscles are growing or are being stretched. With this information, like the information that we got yesterday, the number of things that I had to do in terms of strategy, just to ensure that I see if I'm using the right strategy to get most of the goals that I've stated for this year, to be accomplished. And so it's a challenge for each one of us who are on the call today to ensure that whatever it is that we have to do, we need to look at the strategies that we are using. Sometimes we are using wrong strategies. That is why some things are not coming. I just saw Prof is already online. We would like to give him more time, for him to share. So over to you, Red.
Okay, so it gives me great pleasure once more to invite to the stage, without further ado, Professor Hannington Mubaiwa, founder, creator of the Riot Act and what we call the RAP, which is the Rapid Action Plan or the Rapid Africa Plan, and also such a great and prolific man when it comes to many other aspects. So let me allow him to come on straight away. Prof, over to you. Sharing rights have already been given, so just go for it.
I am me before so, oh, that's me, all right. There you are. Oh, what is it? Okay, let's change that. Yeah. Okay, I was looking like, beginning to look like a Chinaman. So, welcome back. Habari wanga. Nimakukonda kwa mbili, dikukondani nonse kwa mbili. And I just want us to, I don't want to take a lot of time in exemplifying my chair here. We want to get on with it, and so that we can, gain something. When I come in, I believe so much in this thing called divine serendipity. This thing is on Facebook, huh?
Yes, it is. Yes, you are streaming live on Facebook as well.
I know that you were streaming live on Facebook. I don't know what has happened to my thing here, but anyway, well, I want to. Okay, let me see here. I've, I'm not very good at. Oh, there we are. Okay, so today I want to go to. I think it was Dr. Nelly was saying, sometimes we don't get what we want because we are using the wrong strategies. That's also that's I think that's a secondary reason. And I think the main reason is that we don't know we don't know ourselves. We don't understand ourselves, and it's not our fault, it's the environment. We are. We are nurtured by different parents. We have different backgrounds of understanding and seeing the future and how you can reach that future. So if you don't know yourself, then you cannot create the psychology that can drive you where you need to be. I want to reference to you today. A man called Claire Graves. I think we all know, you probably all know the idea of the hierarchy of needs by a man called Maslow. And now Claire Graves said, if the human is driven to advance in these 7 stages. So what is happening in the society when that is occurring? So he came up with this research, and he found out that the 7 levels of the advancement of the human, I think, some of you may know Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In other words, when a person draws from earth, from heaven into a bush, what happens with him? First he wants to find food, then they say he wants to find shelter and so forth, until he says, well, you know what is this rock? It shines real well. Let me use it, and maybe I can produce something. Then you look for other things. So now the key thing I want to bring here is the idea of the power of psychology. Is that coming from me? The idea of the power of psychology in what we do. You hear people talking about this thing called paradigm shift. I don't know how many people know what paradigm shift means or is. If I see a picture here, I don't know if this picture is a picture for someone's child, or actually for someone who's that young. If it is, then I could go into a little bit of detail of what that is. But anyway, the thing is this, that there's this thing that he found out. It goes something like, when a human is centralized in one social state, then their psychology is particular. I mean, the world they live in is particular to that stage, or their psychology is particular to that stage. When an individual is stuck or spends a long time in a certain standard of living, you may say, his psychology is particular to that stage. In other words, everything that he's going to do is regulated by that psychology. If you say it in another way, you would say that the ideas, the knowledge that somebody has, the philosophies, in other words, the various thoughts and ideas that they have amassed or they've worked on, they create a conviction and a belief on what they're going to do. Now, that conviction and belief of those thoughts is what we are calling psychology here. So everybody will say, okay, you know what? Like me here, things are gonna be like this, in Zimbabwe, things are happening like this. Let's see, you know what? I'm gonna go to America, or I'm gonna go to Europe. I'm gonna go, So now you start thinking, your mind would be saying, what's happening here? Where is this thing going? So that's how our mind works, and then it works itself towards that idea. Now, so without preparing the psychology, then you cannot get what you want. And so when you have a lot of people are making a ton of money in motivational speaking, if I didn't have this idea of working on driving the transformation of Africa, then I would go learn how to do it, because people are paying tons of money to motivational speakers. Why? Because they fix their psychology. It is the psychology. So I want to talk a little bit about how you can, organize your thinking and your psychology so that at the end of the day, you have a mission to undertake. First, you need to have a vision. So why a vision? Because, I came across a saying the other day. It goes like, when you have a vision, it's as if the mind is endowed with special powers to protect that vision. Now, after studying and by the grace of God, walking in the experience of the power of the Spirit, I don't say it's as if. I say when you have a vision, you are given powers to protect that vision within you. So which then brings us to the understanding that each person is designed by God to advance. We don't advance either by choice, by ignorance, by fear, or by a failure to determine a sense of schedule of when we want to do something or its importance. So I'm saying this to say there has to be a deliberate learning process. It's great that I see quite a number of people that are coming to this. Something is going to happen in your life if you continue to listen to this, if you continue to come, because the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn about others, the more you learn the principles of how things work. So what happens in this development of the vision because ultimately the vision will turn into a mission. Is this coming from me, this noise?
Don't worry, Prof. It's people joining, so there's a warning.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, thank you. Okay, I didn't want to, yeah. So where I'm coming for, where I'm coming here is to, I'm trying to build a foundation. You know, I don't want to go fast. I want, because I think this is something critical that we have to learn, and it works. So I studied, you know, what's keeping Africa from transforming, like I said yesterday, and I got to learn a lot of stuff. It's just and I realized that I'm just scratching the surface. So wherever you go, the key thing is that vision, right? So I can tell you, right, by knowing the human, that if you've got 50 people here, you probably find that maybe 5 or 10, if you're lucky, have got a very clear vision of what they want, depending on how long they've been here. But if you get any group of people, that's how it takes. So now, I want us to go I want to take you to this diagram here. Today, I'm just going to talk about how to polish up your vision. We're not going to talk about the art of choice. I'm just going to, let me see here. Where are you there? So, okay, I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this here. I want to show you some, what's up here? You know, I'm not very good at this thing. Okay. Are we together now? There am I, huh? Okay.
Yes.
So this thing here, I developed this about maybe 2015 or so. You know, I squiggle and I end up with things like this. But I would want to show you my handwriting where I do it. You know, you would want even to read this. So I had a friend of mine did this for me. So I came up with this idea saying, you know, these are the things that are happening in your mind, you know, in order for you to end up with a mission, right? A mission, then action. Now, sorry, this here is actually mixed up. You need to, there are 2 different people here. And entrepreneurs, you know, visionary people, they start action and they create strategies, they go. The rest of the people, they want to strategize first. Then they create the action and they never do anything. But I want us to focus a little bit on the idea of how it works to, you know, to create a vision and why it's so important, so critical. And the idea that if each individual, you know, is designed by God to succeed, when they have the same knowledge, it's like we go to these colleges to become engineers, you know, of which genre I come from myself. There was quite a ton of us learning engineering, and we all go into the industry and we produce the same things. So this, you can learn this. And if you do it right, it's not difficult. It's a question, half of it is a question of conviction. It's a question of belief. And it is important to understand that without a belief in your heart, you can't do anything. In the Bible, it says, as a man thinketh, so he is. As a man thinketh in his heart, you know, so think about thinking in the heart. It means that your thoughts have entered the heart. And when you enter the heart, it creates a frequency like a cell phone and engages the super potential, which is this air around us, which is some form of intelligence. So this thing here, you know, you have to spend time dwelling on what is it exactly? What am I? Who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose in life? You know, what are the things that are available? What are the things that I like? What are the things that I love? Who did this? You know, and so forth. You ask those questions, and naturally for everybody, for the people that end up doing things, these things come naturally. But for, you know, everybody else, you have to spend time studying and learning and asking yourself. Then at that point, one day you will realize, okay, there's a thought that will come into your mind and say, oh, I want to do this, I want to be this. And when you do that, what then happens is that you create a belief in that. Now, when you create, and so this philosophy engages imagination and it creates a belief of your purpose, right? When you have that, now the vision is pulling away. And what it then does is then it engages this emotion of belief, and it gives you the attitude to want to succeed. But there is one critical area that we don't do, and this is this part here. This part here is where you think about doing something, but you don't qualify it. I call it, when you say what, I call it qualified. What exactly is it you want to do? Okay, I want to get involved in this business. I went there to do this pitch, and yes, I'm going to join it. But what are you joining? What are you joining to do? To become what? And then to become how much? How scalable is it? And when? A sense of schedule. Or in what interval of time? Is there, sometimes it's important to understand this part here is so critical to know, because sometimes there's an intervention you may have to engage. For example, let's say you decide, you want to go to another country, you want to go to Zimbabwe, for example, or South Africa, and you say, okay, I'm going to go there. Well, maybe you have a loan that you need to fix. Maybe you've got a house that is on mortgage that you need to fix. So if you don't plan properly, then the intervention that is not, you will not go, you may not go because of intervention. The intervention that is required, or if you do, then you're gonna have problems. So it's important to really think about, okay, now I want this, when I'm gonna do it, right? Am I gonna do it now? Now, if you decide you're gonna do it now, then you're gonna attend every lesson, every invitation, you're gonna be there. And why is the last one. You say, yes, I went to see the presentation. Yes, I want to go for that motivational training. Yes, I want to go for this business. But why do you want to do it? If the why is strong enough, the how doesn't matter. People that have spent years on one thing is because they have seen the end of it, and they get luckier as they go. So it's important for you to really look at these things here. What exactly is it? What is the magnitude? They call it scalability, right? And what's the sense of schedule, interval of time, that this will take, so that you can plan properly. But half of us, we just start, okay, I'm gonna go to this, then you start going, then you start moving. Then, but you haven't created the psychological process. But what this does is creating a psychology, it's mastering and rendering your thoughts, your ideas and beliefs, the way a record is rendered. When they do a recording, there's a process they do to render so that it does not scratch again. So this is basically the process here that you have to think deliberately, and so that your dream, see, when this here, all this process is what will drive your dream. Because now when you have passion, so this will create passion. This here will create a desire. So, oh my God, you know what? I want to build a big house. I want to have a big house. I want to have, send my kids to the best schools. Then you have this, I want to take care of my mom, and so forth. And so when you create this desire, when that happens, boom, now you have a mission. Now you either start walking or have a strategy. But so according to my science, everything is already set by God, so that when you start moving, like I said, the people, the places, and the things will start moving with you, and you will meet in proportion to the momentum that you create. What if you bump into a wall? There's going to be a lot of adversity on the way. But somebody said, adversity is the signpost to your destiny. And somebody said, the adversity is the incubator of your destiny, of your future. So you are supposed to turn there. So I think for today, because of our time and because I speak slowly, I want to leave this here. So, and there's a guy called Stan Davis. He wrote a book called Future Perfect. It's a very, very, very interesting book that I want to, encourage people to to read. There's also another book called The Art of Original Thinking, The Making of a Thought Leader. So this is it right here, my brothers and sisters, that we are looking at today. I hope that people have learned something. Obviously, these things, they take a lot of time, and if we go fast, we might, a number of people might not understand it. I could have gone fast, I could motivate and so forth, but I think this is the speed that I thought that maybe you can get something. I want to go back to you, Reverend. Thank you.
Okay, so please, you still have about 10 minutes, Prof.
Oh,
9,
I do.
so that you can.
Oh, okay,
yes.
all right. Thank you. So I don't know. Does anybody want to make a comment on?
You'll stop at minute of the next hour. So you still have 9 minutes. Okay, now 7. Go on.
Okay, 7. So now, so is this including the questions, right?
Yes. So maybe we could open it for questions. You want to open for questions?
Yes, I want to open for questions here.
Please, anybody, like our usual tradition, as per tradition, please raise your hand. Don't just unmute yourself. Raise your hand if you have a specific question you'd like to ask Prof with regard to this particular presentation. So anybody with a question, feel free to ask the question. It's now open. You can ask your question, and then we'll immediately allow you to unmute so that you can proceed. Obviously, Prof, many times, these kind of presentations are very overwhelming because, some minds are being stretched right now as you speak. So obviously, it's like, when you're challenged with the idea, the mind tends to go into cognitive dissonance sometimes.
Yes.
So they are processing. There you go, Auntie Sylvia. Auntie Sylvia, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's overwhelming. But each time that we, we've got things that that we want to do, why is there this back thing at the back of your mind telling you that this cannot be done? Where does it come from? Where does this belief come from that I'm here and you've got an idea of the things that you want, but there's this, higher hand which is telling people, most people of our networks, telling them that no, you can't, this is too big for you to do, you can't do it. Where is this coming from? Where does it come from? Is it from the networks, or is it from something else that covers your intelligence, that you don't see the bigger picture? Prof.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because that is what is keeping a lot of people away from what they need to do. If you look at this, right, this here is just the process. What I'm saying here in simple is that you have to build a level of passion and desire for you to move. See, if you haven't developed enough desire for what you want to do, then you're not going to drive it, because you will burn out. If you haven't gone through this process, your psychology is not set. If you haven't created the right psychology, you see, psychology is the ideas that you believe in, that they are possible. Now, when you attach them to, when your heart catches them and you want to move forward, it's now called a mindset. So I think, number one, we haven't developed the right mindset for it. But when you have a mindset, you are ready to move and you can be stopped. So, I want to give an example of, somebody like Bill Gates, for example, because when I try to give example for these people that have done. Now, I think he was 14 when he saw that the computer is something that could work. And I think he was in his maybe late 20s or even 30s when Microsoft really became something. And if we want to talk about something near in 2000, I really decided to come and to go and work on Africa to see why Africa can be fixed. Why it's not fixed. And it has taken me unpaid, you know, with family and everything. It took me about 7, 8 years, and I'm still driving it now, you know, without any pay and so forth. That means I did this, and I have this that I believe and know that it's going to happen. You see, so a lot of the fear is because a lot of people don't, the fear is a doubt. The doubt comes from your heart is telling you that you're not ready. You see, when you have all the information, you are convinced, your heart becomes ready. So your heart is a very accurate meter of what to do, when to do, because it's the one that engages the area, the intelligence of God around us. When they say God is everywhere, they mean His intelligence and it's a super potential. There's anything can happen there, but your heart has to be engaged. But without the knowledge, without the understanding of, especially here, to create the desire and to be clear, if you don't have vision, clarity, if your vision is not very clear, then you're not going to have this. So I think those are some of the reasons, and also not just spending enough time. You know, you come here. So a lot of people, they have the thought, I want to do this. I want to do this, but they don't dwell on it long enough for it to become something, for it to go into their heart. And some people don't determine the time. And some people are just not organized enough to get to a point where they can convince themselves. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, once you have thought it and you have believed it, it engages your heart. Engaging your heart is like dialing a cell phone. A signal will come out all the time. It's the same thing. So God created it like that. I don't know if that answers a question.
Phenomenally well, actually.
Yes, yes. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. It does.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Maybe we can allow one more question, please. Just one quickly. We have 2 minutes before we exit. So if there's anybody with a question that they would like to ask, you know, this is a very profound conversation around here. You know, this information you can tell is at a whole other level, but in terms of vibration. And this is the kind of information many of us need to activate further that which we have believed. And many of you, just that last part the Prof spoke about really addresses some of the negatives. So anybody with a question, please raise your hand. Prof, I believe people are in cognitive dissonance. So what you can do, Prof, is give us your closing remarks. We'll have you back on Thursday when you'll be able now to drive further the next parts of this presentation. Okay, Kama, Mr. Kama. Very quickly, we have only a minute. Kama, you can come through. Okay, go ahead.
I was just thinking, Rev, imagine you organize a TV session for the professor, you know, because what we need in Zambia is mindset change, you know. I'm a member of a number of groups of youths now. After the elections, they're all thinking Barry will fix it. They don't want to do anything. Imagine you organize a presentation that you can do on TV, online. Can that be okay? Just for the general public, because I'm only seeing about 49 people here. Because when you go online, like the TV, you find that you get to about over 3,000, 4,000 people. Don't you think it's okay?
Are you asking me, Mr. Kama?
Yes,
definitely. You know.
Because
okay. No, definitely, Mr.
Kama. Yeah, you know.
No, true. Yes.
My brothers and sisters, I want to say this, that I don't want to go full time into this yet. You know, I have this thing. Once you start it, you know, it absorbs all your life. But I think maybe you know these things. You know, okay. Here's my final closing remarks on this. What I'm bringing here is not so much to create. Some people can pick it quickly and work it out. Some people, they take their time. They want to, you know, process all the information one time, and they want to try to follow it instead of just getting the picture that, look, you need to build your emotion and your passion. But I want to say that this is just an introduction. This kind of thing, you can see that each part, you know, we could spend half a day on each circle, you know, so this is like a thesis in itself. You know, in other words, you know, a real study on that subject of creating a mission. So I think that as we go from time to time, we can just find maybe, you know, on a weekend where you can say, okay, we have 1 hour or so to go into this kind of details. Then we'll be able to take from this part of the choice and from this part of qualifying, quantifying, or creating the psychology, and from the part of saying, okay, what is the strategic process? What are the 3 actions that you can really do to engage a transformational process? Because without engaging the transformational process, then you cannot be. Because the person that you were before the business was introduced and the person you want to become are not the same. So there has to be some trigger, something that you do that you become a different person that is a fit for where you want to go. Right now, you're not a fit for where you want to be. You know, you are not ready. You need an intellectual technology upgrade. And this is this information is the science behind it, that you have to understand that, oh, by the way, there's such a science, then you can research so that you can learn these memes. I want to introduce this thing about memes as a packet of information that changes the characteristics of your life. So with that, thank you very much. You know, my brothers and sisters, I hope that I didn't bore you too much.
No, Prof, absolutely not. What we're going to do, Annie, I wish I could take your comment, but we're so out of time. Unless you can restrict it to 30 seconds. Please, 30 seconds, Annie. What's your comment? Annie, go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. No, I was just going to thank you very much, Professor, for the very interesting and informative presentations. I was just going to agree with the last comment. I can't remember the name, Kanu or something, where he spoke about a presentation on TV to cover more people. Because one of the things I've also realized working with youths, that they have this imagination that someone is going to come and sort things out for them. So I think it's important that they realize that this thing comes from the inner self. They need to come up and realize their potential and that they are the ones who can change things for themselves. So I just wanted to add that and to say that I agree that it's important. Someone should actually be talking to the youths and even the women. Thank you. I know I have under a minute, so I won't talk much. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Annie. So make sure Thursday, all of you be on the call. That is normally Dr. Nelly's slot. So again, we're surrendering it to the professor. But I can tell you this, to all of you that are following this, there's something very, very significant. We're working with the professor behind the scenes. It's not accidental. This is absolutely divine serendipity. There is huge things at work, and there'll be strategies even around our appearances on all the platforms that we shall get onto. It is very deliberate. It's very specific. And so I want to thank Prof. It's very late for him. This must be like 10:10 over there in LA. Apologies. Yeah, there you go.
Well, today I took a nap. All right, thank you.
So, Prof, on behalf of our team, we want to thank you for taking your time out, Prof, and being here with us. We are so edified. We look forward to having you on Thursday, but you and I, we are still talking behind the scenes. So wait for you to wake up, then we'll talk more.
Yes,
I just had to cancel a call. So I'll call him back just now because I know he was trying to call me. So definitely we can lock down what we discussed.
Reverend, I want to promise you something. I want to promise the people something. Now that you heard what we talked about, on Thursday, I promise you, I'm going to simplify this into a simple action steps that you can do. I'm going to try to do that. I promise you that. Thank you.
I'm loving that, Prof. So from myself, and the entire team, Dr. Nelly, Auntie Sylvia, these are our key leaders. We are so, so grateful. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday, Prof. Have a good night. And for the rest of you, remember, if you do not take action, nothing happens. So at least pick one item here and start taking action, whether it's the philosophy, the vision, the belief, the why, whatever. But just pick something and really begin to pursue it. And I've discovered that the way serendipity works in the mind is that the more you start to come across a concept, the more it starts to pop up everywhere, because your reticular activation system starts to bring it to you. So you start seeing it everywhere. And that's the key to activation and moving to the next level. It's because these things are being lit up in your mind. So from ourselves, thank you so much. Have a blessed morning. We'll catch you again tomorrow when we have Anne coming through to do the usual presentation on our products and our the reason why we do these meetings. Have a blessed morning. Goodbye.